All right, welcome everybody to, what is it, fourth day of the Open Source Summit North America. Happy to see some smiley faces still after so impactful week. My name is Roman, and I am Principal Architect and Security Communities Lead at Red Hat, but also I support open source projects in their security journey, and that includes UXL Foundation. And today we are going to talk about UXL approach to open source security challenges and how to overcome these challenges. Security, quite obviously, is a big deal, and you know it's even a bigger deal when it comes to open source, because if you attended a few keynotes previously at the summit, you have heard that the value of open source is massive. Right, the monetary value. This is a simple calculation that Daniel Sternberg, Curl maintainer, revealed at FOSS North in 2025. Actually, $100 million of market value belongs to only 5% of active free and open source developers. So those brave guys holds the key to, to all the technology that we are all dependent on. At the same time, according to Black Duck's report, 97% of the code base contain open source, and 70% of scanned code had its origin in open source. I think also not a big secret for all of us open source supporters. Finally, the freshest report is just revealed by ChainGuard. The so-called the cost of CVs 2025, and this absolutely mind-blowing amount of 31 million of the cost overall. They have the nice methodology when they calculated not only the potential cost of the breach, but the potential cost of the recovery and the marketing and etc. etc. So you can have a look by this link. Very nice. So security is a big deal for open source projects in general, and that's so much true for UXL projects, because if you already have heard from Rod and other presenters that UXL projects, quite popular, and perhaps the users of these projects, they expect best performance, best quality, fastest hardware enablement, and that includes for all these new platforms that literally appear every day on the market. Transparency, interoperability, and of course security by default. Why do you even ask about that, right? Security by default for so impactful projects that's used in most powerful HPC computers all over the world. Now, what's the trick? The trick is here. Open source maintainers actually owe you nothing, right? Expectations are good, but reality is a little bit different. Now, all open source projects have challenges with security. That's not a secret. These are a couple of challenges that we specifically at UXL Foundations faced and still trying to overcome. Engineering resources, obviously, quite a big challenge. All work in open source is voluntary anyway. Migration-sensitive security processes, as already been discussed at this summit, from Intel to open source is quite a challenging in the nature, because security is so sensitive process and so complex and so dependent on the tools and everything. So that's been a challenge. A lot of code actually is written in C++. Again, not a secret. When folks outside ask me, okay, what's the deal to run a scan against your project, like enable all these dependent-bots, CodeQL, and other tools, and I say, okay, maybe not of them works very well for C++ code. That's been a challenge for us as well. Migration to UXL GitHub organization, handling maintainers and infrastructure is still a big challenge, and of course we're trying to overcome this as well. And incredible variety of hardware platforms needed for building and testing brings a lot of complexity to quality and security testing as well. Just a quick example, as of May, that's the amount of GitHub runners in public that was available for, for different platforms, right? And you see like available and needed even more to be available on the public. And I think it's already been discussed, right? The challenges with the infrastructure because of the huge variety and huge demands and dependent on the different types of hardware. Big shout out to our friends Aaron Dron, who is working at Codeplay and supporting these efforts in overcoming infrastructure challenges for UXL. That's of course also very relevant for security practices and for security improvements. Now our approach. So how to overcome these challenges, how we are doing and what the plans are. We took the combined approach. We took all the best practices from the existing projects that's been initially donated to UXL. And then we took community best practices that are existent already over the different communities, for example, OpenSSF or cloud native CNCF security practices. That's been very helpful. We, of course, did not reinvent the wheel from the very scratch. Also, we, of course, dependent on the contributions and inputs from the members of the foundation, and we hear their input and we implement their best practices and knowledge into our projects. And that's all blended to become developer-centric security, transparent and in the open. That's the goal. Right, and we already been talking about that. That's our goal is to be maximum transparent and do as much things as possible out in the open. A little bit more about operating model, how we do security at UXL. I wrote share the structure, how UXL operates. This is kind of the structure, steering committee, working groups, and so on and so forth. And security is a working package inside of the open source working group. And in scope of our efforts, basically the 4 key areas. We have security team, which is assembled from the representatives and maintainers of the existing projects. We have vulnerability processes in place. We have security development practices and lifecycle recommendations for the project, and we also help with the tooling. Now, security program at glance, what exactly we have done and what we are looking for in the future. First of all, when we started, we were focusing on the real basics, and that helped a lot. I do know that not all the open source projects still follow these kind of basic practices, but we thought that's very crucial and essential that we complete all of this hygiene, I would say. We did some kind of multi-factor authentication enforcement for GitHub accounts. We defined web roles and tokens and apply some of the OpenSSF essential practices. We enabled scans for the code, for the secret scan and SAST analysis, composition analysis. We revealed vulnerability policies and published it, of course, for all of the projects. So it's all up and running now. You can check it out. It's all out in the open for each project in UXL. Speaking of advanced security practices, then we thought, okay, let's move forward, and we are already enabled OpenSSF scorecard. I will talk just in a minute about specifics about that. We are looking to also enable OpenSSF best practice page, and maybe including some other scans for our projects, because I mentioned the challenge with something written in C++ is real. We're looking for revealing the public build logs. That is hugely dependent on the infrastructure that we are building, but it also would allow us to be more transparent and from security standpoint as well. Now, we admit that not everything worked as expected. right? When we implemented all of these practices and when we first outlined the strategy, that all looked very good on paper, but as we implemented some of the practices, for example, fuzzing, or enabling open source version of cavity scans for our projects, we realized that sometimes it doesn't work, but we are, we are not suffering. And if some of the projects struggling, we just say, okay, maybe it doesn't work right now. Let's find another solution, for example, right? We're taking small steps and move forward. That's our motto to support the projects that are already in UXL or are joining UXL in their journey, not be like strict and prescriptive. A few examples, what we have actually done. We do guidance and templates for the new projects, for example, that are joining UXL. We have onboarding recommendations for the new projects, very concise with all the link educational materials, just to help those projects who are joining to get up to speed. We also have these templates of the GitHub issues so that the projects can plan their security improvements once they join. Again, another example of our approach at the foundation when we we're not root guys, root security folks, right? We really try to help and try to be developer-centric. And as a security team, we also provide continuous support for team on some of the tricky questions that are happening right now with the geopolitical situations and etc. And we help each project with consistent incident response if they need so. A couple of other examples. We have public security policy for each project under UXL, and we also use this reports vulnerability feature in the GitHub that everybody can report if they want to open up this issue for us in the private manner so that we see this report, but it's not revealed for the other bad guys, which is quite a nice feature. But also we allow other ways to communicate with us by email, for example, to report vulnerability. And then on the right-hand side, the example of the already disclosed vulnerabilities that we actually fixed. And we all the time give the credits to the reporters as well. So it's both coordinated vulnerability disclosure and then appreciation for researchers and other folks who submit security issues to us. A few words about OpenSF scorecards. That's really a cool thing, and we're really proud that we enabled it for all the projects. And this is an example of the one DAO project. It has decent score. What scorecard is? It's 18 checks, represents industry best practices. I'm reluctant to say security practices because if you look at them, they are, of course, related to security, but it's just good development practices, right? Whether or not project does code reviews, for example, or whether or not it's well maintained. Okay, so it's related to security, but not really 100% security, just the good practices that everybody should follow. This tool works with GitHub and GitLab. And score, if score equals or more than 7, it usually means decent score as the kind of industry golden practice. We run it automatically, and we have all of these OpenSF scorecard badges, these nice badges on the GitHub. You can check it out for your project as well. It's free and it's open source, and it's really native to integrate. We are proud to show that UXL projects have an average score more than 8. And one project, I think it was one DNN when I looked last week, it was 9.1, which is really tremendous result. Now, finally, where we are looking into with our UXL security program plans and improvements. As we spoke already, we're looking for persona guidance for maintainers. We're looking for other improvements like sign-in release, for example, implementing SALSA framework and doing build provenances. Also, Also enabling checking secure compile flags for builds, including sanitizers, GitHub Actions, hardening, quite a big important topic right now. LinkedIn, we maybe wanting to document security insights .yaml practices, as I spoke yesterday and the day before about Cyber Resilience Act. That would be handy to demonstrate conformance to CRA. Plus other security practices that has been developed right now by the community. We are open to any suggestions and looking for the security practices constantly. One of those examples that we are looking for probably in the near future, again, as we have resources, OpenSSF security baseline. What that means, if you attended keynote yesterday, that was a separate talk about that, but in essence, security baselines, this is 8 areas of the good practices that are also not 100% related to security, but rather good practices for open source repositories and development practices that should be followed by actually everybody. One example, just to exemplify, for example, when a new collaborator is added, the version control system must require manual permission assignment or restrict the collaborator permissions to the lowest available privileges by default. That kind of makes sense, isn't it? Like, if I allow the new maintainer, probably I need to, to assign the minimum necessary permissions, but not right to everything. Okay, so that's just a good practices, and you can also check it out. It's open source. It's all free. Finally, to conclude my talk, we are looking for contributors. As we all know, there is a shortage of contributors in general, and specifically in security space. You can contribute in many ways. It's not necessarily should be the code contributions, or it's not necessarily should be the fixes contributions. Just come along, attend our meetings, join the mailing lists. You can write to us. If you have something in mind, feedback or anything, we are very looking forward to hear from you. Let's make our repos more secure. Thank you very much.